Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host Eric Smith, and today I want to talk about Monster by Keith Ferrario, I think. This is another Sam Hain book. It just came out April 7th is the publication date, and this is April 9th. So, brand new, fresh from the printer. And what you've got here with Monster is a man named Adam Haynes. He's a pilot down in the Antarctic, and he flies people around, takes supplies to the different scientific stations, and he's been hired by Richard Baines, who had set up a team of scientists down at Station 7, and they've lost contact with Station 7. It's been about 2 weeks since they've heard from them. So Richard Baines has hired Adam Hayes to take him down there, along with Margaret Walker, who's a doctor, and she's also Richard's ex-wife, Lieutenant Bruce Manning, who's going along sort of as muscle and has some personal reasons for wanting to go. And then you have Carol Chambers, who is the new personal assistant for Richard Baines. So these 5 people fly down to Station 7 to find out why no one's heard from anybody at the station for about 2 weeks. And, excuse me, when they arrive, things seem kind of weird. And they go into the station, and they can't find anybody. All they find are these piles of clothes all over the station. And the really weird thing is that the clothes are like, the long underwear is inside the pants as if they've been worn. T-shirts, undershirts are inside overshirts, whatever you want to call it. Socks inside shoes. It's really weird that they find these piles of clothes the way they are. Nobody around. The radio equipment has been smashed. So they have to figure out what the hell went on. They do find some other rather alarming things that I won't mention. And then, of course, there's a storm, so they get stuck there at least overnight. And things get kind of weird because there's something there. Something at Station 7. So that's the basic, that's the jumping off point for this story. And I don't think you can have a story like this without someone, especially me, bringing up John Carpenter's The Thing. And even though the most basic premise, the starting point, may be the same-ish, it's a scientific team at an isolated station in the Antarctic. There's your similarities. This is a completely different story. Whereas in John Carpenter's The Thing, we're actually following the people that are stationed there. In here, as I said, we're following people who have gone down there because they've lost touch with the people that are stationed there. It does have that claustrophobic, isolated feel to it that the movie The Thing has, but it's a completely different animal, as it were. And it's got some twists and turns that take it completely out of John Carpenter's The Thing territory. Now, I'm not really familiar with Mr. Ferrario, but he has a really nice writing style. It's very crisp and clean, very smooth. He does characters very well. They're all very interesting characters. We get these little things, just tiny little bits that really develop the characters. One that stands out in my mind is this Rolex watch. And I'm not going to say anything specific about it, just that this watch really, again, helps bring out some of that character development. Read the book and find out what I'm talking about. So I do really like the characters. There's some other characters introduced later in the book. Really well done. It's really hard to say which characters I enjoy the most. I mean, I like the pilot, Adam Hayes, excuse me. Margaret Walker. Richard Baines is kind of a jackass, but that's his character, and it's well developed. Carol Chambers, kind of annoying to me, but again, that's how she's supposed to be. Bruce Manning, really like him. And so, very well done characters, and anybody who watches my videos knows how important character is to me. And I really like the way he develops these. You get a little bit of backstory, but more importantly, you get those little touches that tell you about the character without having to go too deeply into the backstory. You know, some authors, whenever they introduce a character in a book, will spend half a chapter giving you their history. Isn't necessarily a bad thing, you know, if it's done well, if it's written in an interesting manner, that's fine. You're not going to have that here. You do get, like I said, little flashes of backstory, but it's their interaction with the other characters that develops them as a character. So that's always really impressive to me. Now, I actually delayed this review a couple of days, and I probably shouldn't have, since this, I could have had this review up probably the day before the book actually came out. Not sure if that's really important, but I kind of delayed this because I was debating about something in the book, whether I should mention it or not. I even asked on Facebook, asked my friends if, you know, what their opinion was, because there's something that happens in the book that's really good. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. But I wasn't sure if, as a reviewer, it was something I needed to mention. And unfortunately, the vote was kind of split. I had, you know, half the people said, don't mention it at all, leave it as a surprise for the readers. And then I had other people say, you know, maybe say spoiler, post a spoiler warning and kind of mention it. As I said, it's a good thing. Obviously, I'm not going to mention specifically what it is, just that there's something here that had me thinking about what I should say in regards to it, and I've decided not to say anything really. Not sure if I'm obligated to say something about it or not. Again, good thing. It's a good thing. And wow, I can't say any more without actually giving it away, telling you what it is. And I've decided not to tell you what it is, obviously. So, just so you know, there's something in here. I mean, if you really want to know, if I'm being way too vague and kind of a dick about it, just ask me in the comments below. Comments, as always, will be open for spoilers. As long as you're polite, post a spoiler warning. Feel free to ask me what I'm rambling on about, and I'll post a spoiler warning and I'll tell you what it is. But just so you know, it's not a bad thing. It is a good thing. It is a very good thing. So that was really vague and annoying, I suppose. But that's kind of why this review was delayed by a couple of days, because I was really debating on whether or not to say anything about it. So I really enjoyed this book. It's a really good story with really good characters. It's well written. I know I've been nitpicky in a few recent videos about just problems with, I'm not even sure if it's the manuscript, what it is. In one of my older reviews, I mentioned that there were maybe a dozen or so missing words scattered throughout. I'm probably not going to mention that kind of stuff anymore, because it does seem kind of nitpicky. But, I mean, this is a nice, clean story. I didn't notice anything like that at all. Major continuity errors I will continue to mention, because I do think that's a problem. Although, I mean, if it doesn't detract from the story, I don't know. It's a tough call for me. But none of that in here either. Just a really good, crisp, clean story, I guess. It's compelling. There's lots of twists and turns. There were some things I figured out pretty easily, and I don't know if the reader is meant to figure them out, if it's supposed to be a surprise once you get the actual information. But this didn't detract from the story or my enjoyment of it at all. I'm just saying there's a couple of things that may have been meant to be a surprise that didn't surprise me, because I was pretty sure I knew where a couple of things were going. But overall, again, very enjoyable. I've got my rating here. Now, I went with sort of a generic choice for my rating, because the few things I thought of to draw for my rating were a little too specific and would have given things away, which of course I'm real big on not giving anything away. So because it takes place in the Antarctic, I went with penguins, and I give this book 4 out of 5 penguins. It's a really enjoyable book. I really need to learn how to scale things properly. This penguin is just as important as these penguins. I just drew them too big and had to squeeze number 4 down here. And of course this is the 5th one that doesn't count. 4 out of 5 penguins. I guess they look penguiny. So there you have it. That's my strangely overly vague, perhaps, review of Monster by Keith Ferrario. As always, I will have links for the book in the description below. I'll have an Amazon link and a Sam Hain link. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. If you know how to say Keith Ferrario's last name properly, let me know. If you have any questions about my vagueness, please feel free to ask. I now have something in my eye, so if you'll excuse me. I don't know where that came from. Any questions, let me know. I'll post spoiler warnings and I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Any suggestions for making these reviews better? Do you want more information? Do you want less information? Do you care about the writing style or the characters? Do you just don't want to know what the plot is? It is a review, so I'm not just going to tell you the plot. I'm going to tell you what I think of the book, the writing and the characters and the story. But if there's something you think I should emphasize a little more, let me know. These reviews are for you readers out there. Hopefully you'll pick up something new and enjoy it like I did. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I think that about covers it. So until next time, read more books.